Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of Talk the Ting. Rajiv, why is it wood?
Good night, idea. Welcome everybody. Good night. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. Another week, another episode.
Yeah, man, we keeping the content coming. So this month we really pushing through a theme of entrepreneurship, right? For those who laughing at the way I said that, you can laugh if you want, but that's okay. But we have one of the young people in Dominica now who's pushing through young entrepreneur I should say, in terms of agriculture. And we're gonna have a good conversation with him today. But before we go into that, we want to encourage you guys to share the live as much as you can. Subscribe, comment,
Like and share.
the video. We try
Participate
to
in the
participate.
comments.
Yep. If you have any questions specifically for the guests, we would really appreciate that. I want to make sure that you guys are involved in the show, right? Rajiv, how was your day, man?
It was good. I think summer finally here. The sun it was hotter outside than inside, so we here with the summer.
Well, I don't think I mean I gonna lie. I had a very good day, So so far, yeah. So with no further ado, we're gonna bring on the guests. We're gonna get into some of the questions we have for him, and make it a good conversation. So with no further ado, let's bring on Mr. Emad.
Good evening.
Why is it wood?
Emad Zarkha.
Good
evening,
evening,
sir. Welcome to Talk the Ting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us, bro. How's everything? How was your day?
Day was packed. Day was busy. I was at an NDFD Green Summit today, where there's some young green entrepreneurs pitching their business plans to us. And me being there as a mentor was part of my sponsorship package on behalf of Bloombox. So it was a busy day, but it's great to see people that are eager and willing to become entrepreneurs.
So you're a seed funder then?
No, just a coach, a mentor and a coach.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get straight into it. Emad, welcome again to the show. Tell us a little bit about your background, because most people, from the time you see the picture, people were like, "Who's this guy, Mr. from Dominica? Like, who's that?" Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, where you grew up, went to school.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. Well, I am Dominican. I grew up in Dominica. I was here until I was 12 years old. And actually, I moved to the States for 14 years. And then I came back in 2017, funny enough, in May before Hurricane Maria. So I was gladly welcomed by Hurricane Maria, my first ever hurricane, which was a Category 5 hurricane. And that was not pleasant at all. But I guess it was, a baptism by fire, I guess, to life in the Caribbean again. And, it was a bit of a rough road, getting stuff back together, getting the house back together. I lost nearly everything because the roof went off. And then finally, once we got back onto stream around 2019, we enjoyed about a year of normalcy, and then COVID happened, which is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation kind of thing. And we were back to the Stone Age again, back inside. lockdown, trying to find a way with the business in the previous job that I was at. And then, yeah, we come to know where I kind of have stepped out of that realm and have become an entrepreneur and a farmer, if you will.
Mm. So with that said, let's not jump over, that. Let's talk a little bit about, your move to the United States, and, what was your transition like, and then having to, make the transition again back to Dominica. How do
Mhm.
you feel, can you give us a little bit of information about that transition, and how was that for you?
Yeah, yeah. I went to New England at the age of 12, actually, and it was a pretty rough transition. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when you're used to
Was it
being in the
like boarding
Caribbean,
school or?
yeah, boarding school, yeah, yeah. So I had to go over there, and it was a rough transition. I mean, my first time ever seeing snow, my first time being in the cold. Um, my cousin was there, thank God, but he was the only other Caribbean person there, and it was a culture
Wow.
shock for me. And it was pretty rough. The first couple of months was definitely pretty rough. It was something that a 12-year-old, I probably wouldn't want a 12-year-old to experience again. But at
Mm,
the same time, it's a lesson that I learned that I've carried on to this day, which is stepping out of my comfort zone. And as an entrepreneur, that's something that you really have to get used to. So I appreciate the experience. I met a lot of people that different cultures, different people, different backgrounds. To this day, I'm still in touch with them, who are also successful. So it was a great networking thing, even at the age of 12. Um, so that was my experience there for the first time. The educational system was very different. I think the one subject I had a lot of trouble in was math, because of different ways and strategies of teaching math compared to Dominica. But there were other subjects I was very strong in. Spanish, social studies, geography. I mean, I was the top of my class in geography. No one knew where Dominica was. No one knew where Jamaica was. No one knew where France was. And I was
And you
there
know where everything was.
like Google Maps. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're in Europe. We're here. We're there. So it was funny to see that, but I guess that just gives you an example as to what are the priorities with the American educational system and the differences with the Dominican educational system. But I'm happy that I was cultured in the fact that I knew where countries were and what they spoke, So that was an experience for me. But I had a fantastic experience. I definitely would recommend it to people like Dwayne who have a son that's up and coming, because it will help him grow as an individual. It also build independence as a young up and coming individual. So I definitely recommend it to anybody who is considering it for their children.
mm,
So was the
okay.
plan always from boarding school, always, back to Dominica? Was that always in the vision, in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, from my mother's perspective, yeah, preparing me, getting me ready to come back to Dominica, but it wasn't mandatory. I mean, if I developed a life in the States, it would be unfortunate because, obviously they would expect you to come back, like any parent would or like anybody would really want to, but it wasn't mandatory. But I always felt a need to come back to Dominica. I always have and have no, I've always had, sorry, and have no Dominica in my heart. And, it's home. You know what I mean? Why would you not want to come back to your home and contribute in some way and change the future of Dominique or change how the style of living is now, you know what I mean, and contribute to the success and the history of Dominica. Why not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's interesting, right? I mean, many of us who live in the States would maybe want to consider that one day, but we commend you for that and being able to, contribute in a positive way to the country.
Hmm.
Um, we know, from being, tied in with you over the years, that you have a journey in the retail industry, and now you transitioning into, farming and agriculture. So what was, the entrepreneurship journey like? Was that always part of your plan? Did you think, was there a specific plan into what type of business you were trying to grow?
Hmm.
Um, and then, just give us a little bit of information about that.
So, like as you said, like I think about 99% of Dominicans, we would all like to come back home. And my journey back home was not smooth and not easy at all. And I was going to leave Dominica about 3 or 4 times.
Mm.
So, it's not like it's been smooth sailing. It not has been easy. Remember, I went through a Category 5 hurricane. I went through the pandemic. And I also couldn't find, you know, I guess, it was difficult. It was difficult for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy at all. And actually, this business um, kind of happened. I wouldn't say it was planned at all. It was definitely not planned. It
Mm.
actually just started, and I was actually on the verge of leaving, and I just decided to go with the flow and start this business. And here it is today. I've developed a passion, which is the most important thing to me. I have a 5 year, 10 year, 15-year plan with this business, and it's not really work to me. It's something I'm very passionate about, and it's my project that belongs to me that I created, which has made me even more committed to staying here and getting things done. Although the plan for this business is beyond Dominica. Dominica obviously is a place that birthed the idea, which I'm very thankful for, and will remain in Dominica until forever, until something happens. But it's definitely beyond the borders of Dominica, and it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't smooth sailing. I can guarantee you that.
So this is your first solo business venture. This is your first brainchild, correct?
It is my first legit business venture. I mean, I've done other business ventures that were not registered and as legit as this. I've done one-off things. I've done some other business things that weren't really, registered, and just here and there. I sell this, I bring this down, and this is my legit business, my first legit brainchild business that has legit employees, that's registered, VAT registered. So yeah,
All right. So
Mm.
give us a story of that. This is, I can see you in the shirt,
yeah,
Bloombox.
yes,
What is Bloombox? You know, what
and how
was
did it start?
how we end up here?
Yeah, so pandemic. I left my prior job, and I was at home, not doing much. I think we were locked down for weeks at a time, and I think I exhausted every single other activity I could do at my own home, whether watching movies, etc. And at the time, we got some seedlings, and I've never really paid attention to agriculture. It's never really been my thing. Coming from Florida the last couple of years of my time in the States, it was very much, corporate life, city life, that kind of thing that interests me. And, after exhausting all other activities, my mother asked me, "Hey, you want to come over and plant some seedlings with me in my backyard garden?" And I said, "You know what else am I going to do? I'm locked down. The entire world is at a standstill. I mean, if there is ever a time for me to
Mm.
have time on my hands to go and garden, it would be no."
Is no.
So I said, let me go and try it out. And I go in the backyard with her, and we go and try it out, and I'm planting it. Okay, we got this done. There's nothing else really for me. I'm just like in autopilot mode, just helping her out. And then, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we start to get like lettuce, we start to get cucumber, tomato, squash, all these things that you would buy from a supermarket. And me being in the States for the last how many years, these are things you pay big money, well, not big money, but a lot, considerable amount of
Yeah,
money on a
yep,
monthly
yep.
basis at
Mhm.
Publix or whatever supermarket you're going to, where they import it from Mexico, Dominican Republic, etc. And you're like, whoa, I can grow this in my backyard out of like two little boxes of wood with dirt, out of nothing, a seed. And that to me was pretty mind blowing. As simple as that is, it was mind blowing to me because for me, I thought it was a whole process greenhouse, whole commercial setup. So we decided to we have this like slope area at the house. So we decided, hey, let's try and grow and be self sustainable for the entire household. So we tried that out, and we had a ton of tomatoes, we had a ton of lettuce. We ended up giving produce away because we had so much. And it was at that point I was like, you know what? I have nothing else in my hands to do. Why not? Why don't I just start a little project of me becoming a farmer, doing farming on this like 1 acre plot of flat land that we have, and see if I can sell to supermarkets and so on, and make some extra cash and see how that goes. End up getting into it, hiring two guys to help me, building a shed, getting a bus, and we ended up selling to all the supermarkets, and we did very well. We were selling every single day. We were getting produce, and we had a fantastic system down, where we were selling produce consistently. Unfortunately, I did meet some obstacles. Irrigation, me having to water there twice a day by hand, opening pipes, doing some silly mistakes with PVC piping, which is pretty comical. It's a mistake that I made, and it's something that I learned from, which is very important as an entrepreneur. And then also, building relationships with the customers, and realizing that there was a need, that there was not any of the, well, about 80% of the inputs that I needed for my farm, I couldn't find in Dominica. So being in business, you understand that once there's an opportunity, once there's a demand for something, then there's an opportunity. The opportunity presents itself. And me having a background in retail, I said, well, why don't I combine the two that I'm working on right now, farming and selling farming inputs, agricultural inputs. So it just snapped to me like that. And me knowing the prices, because I went to go and buy everything for my farm, I realized that a lot of things are like significantly overpriced, in my opinion. Paying $399 for a knapsack, which is just something I spray the chemicals out of, but it shouldn't be costing $399. Seedling trays, which are like literally a thin mold of plastic, costing you $9, $10. That can't be right. I mean, I must be able to get that for like a couple dollars, retail. And I began to do my market research, and seeing all the pricing that these competitors had and what they were selling it for, and then doing my own research and seeing how I could source it for a more affordable price, which I eventually did, and realized that I had like over 1,000 SKUs that I was more competitively priced on than the competitors. And that's when I said, I'm doing this, right? So then I decided to start registering. Well, we had a business registered already. We were planning on doing something from way back when. So we took that business name as the pretty much the holding company name, and I created a trading as name, Bloombox. Developed the logo, developed the uniform, started building the branding guidelines, the manuals, the contracts, the retail space, designing the retail space, designing the concept. And we developed a business plan, and Bloombox was born. And that is
How
pretty much,
how was the
yeah.
how was the like the business registration process for you, as an individual? Would you say like, something very easy to do? Because sometimes some people say, boy, they're going for that trouble because that's too much work. That's too much paperwork, too much. How
Yeah.
was your experience with that?
Yeah, it was, was not easy at all, was not streamlined at all. And if we ever want to be serious in Dominica about entrepreneurs and investors, we need to work on that immediately. Everyone has their their idea as to how a business should be registered, and these are the different departments, and they're obviously conflicting in the process. So I don't think that everybody is fully um, briefed on what the exact process is or what the correct process is. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of back and forth, and that wastes time. That gets people annoyed and frustrated, and ultimately gets people to back out of investments that they could potentially have in Dominica and go to another island that will probably streamline it for them. You know what I mean? Um, there are certain people in place and departments in place that help streamline it. But yet again, it's just the back and forth. You'll go here, they'll tell you have to go there. But if you don't know what the exact process is, you'll waste a lot of time. And I know for people that are coming from abroad that have gone through streamlined processes and systems that are actually people that are briefed and they know exactly what to do and they're streamlined, they're not really going to come and put up with this. So we also have to understand that we're not the only country in the world. We're not the only country in the Caribbean. We're competing with our brother and sister countries. Other countries in the OACS, other countries in the CARICOM, and beyond that. So we have to understand that we need to get caught up in that, and we need to come correct, as they say. So that was my experience.
And what about like on the business plan end? Was that something you
Mm.
did on your own, or you sought like professional help for that?
Um, you know, my mother used to be an executive director for one of the biggest companies in Dominica. So, it would not be very intelligent of me to try and tap into that resource. So I definitely
Okay.
asked her for some advice. You know what I mean? And what she thought of the idea, you know, so everything was a risk, but she guided me and she helped me out with a few things, which I'm very thankful for. And yeah, yeah.
I want to tap into that a little bit.
Mm,
That side of what you talked about, right? Because for many individuals who might have an idea to maybe go into entrepreneurship or owning their own business,
mm,
in terms of having the correct resources, in terms of
mm,
having the right people to reach out to, in terms of having the right mentors. And you
mm,
mentioned that one of the things that that you're working on is also mentorship, right?
mm,
What was your thoughts there? Was your family, I mean, for those who don't know, you come from the Astafan family, and
mm,
that's something that maybe was kind of, when you were growing up, right? It was kind of encouraged to be a business owner and kind of run a business, that type of thing. So how much of that you think contributed to kind of where you at right now in terms of being a business owner, and you running your own business, right? Compared to maybe when growing up, your parents tell you, hey, go to school and get a job, compared to like running your own business. What are
yeah.
your thoughts
Be
there?
a doctor, be a lawyer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
90% of that contributed to me being in business. 90%. Um, when you hear the stories of my grandfather and what he did and what he developed in his lifetime, it would be a crime for me not to be in business. You know, the guy went walking from Roseau to Grand Bay with a suitcase, selling shirts and so on. So I don't think anybody would do that today in this day and age. So that's the amount of dedication that guy had. And you know, if that doesn't motivate anybody, I don't know. I can't help you. But that
Mm-hmm.
motivated me. And for me, for somebody that put in that time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears to get to where he got to, and for me to turn my back to that, it would be a crime on my behalf. And so I would say 90% is that story motivated me to go into business. And to be honest with you, I actually liked it. I enjoyed it. But I think I also looked up to the guy as an idol. And, you know, like everybody, if you're looking up to a footballer, you obviously want to be a footballer. If you're looking up to a basketball player, you want to be a basketball player. I looked up to him as a businessman, and I wanted to become a businessman because of what he developed, what he grew, and the influence that he had on people. You know, he impacted a lot of people positively. I mean, you can hear the stories of him helping so and so, building this and that, sponsoring this, creating that. So it influenced me, and it was something that I wanted to continue, you know, to succeed in. So that definitely played a role, you know what I mean, in the development and my passion in being in business.
Mm-hmm.
So back to Bloombox. The
Mhm.
mission, so your Bloombox mission to be a
Mhm.
one-stop shop for everything that grows. What does that look like in action from your day to day?
Sorry, Roger, you're breaking up a bit. Can you say it again one more time?
Or I'll say in the Bloombox mission, your
Yes.
mission is to be a one-stop shop for everything that grows.
Hmm.
How does that look like day to day? How does that look like in action? How is a day to day for you in delivering on that mission?
That's a fantastic question. Um, you know, for all entrepreneurs that are watching right now, you need a mission and a vision. All right. You need to have a mission and a vision that you're going to follow through in and you're going to remain focused on. And for us, we definitely are striving to be your one-stop shop for everything that grows. And you know, now we're looking to see if we can get into to other areas as well that don't necessarily have to deal with plants. But at this moment in time, you know, we have everything that deals with hydroponics, basic agriculture, backyard gardening, beekeeping, apiculture, irrigation, floral supplies and floral decor, um, basic construction, I guess you could say, but and other things as well. And I think we're also looking to do something to be more involved and contribute more to the livestock center industry, sorry, sector, and also aquaculture. So literally an all-encompassing shop for those cultures: apiculture, agriculture, aquaculture, livestock, the whole nine yards. So that's something that we're striving to be. And I think at this moment in time, I mean, I'd say we're about 70% there, you know?
Are you sticking
So
more to like the material side of things, or are you eventually gonna go on materials, but also like maybe livestock as well, that kind of thing? You know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, no, we're not going to get into the actual sector. We want to help promote, facilitate, and embrace the entrepreneurs and the people that are and the professionals that are in those industries. The farmers, the livestock owners, the agro processors, and so on and so forth. So we're not trying to get into those industries, but we're looking to sell the inputs to help improve their businesses, improve their supplies, their yields, and make their operations a lot more successful than they were prior to Bloombox.
Mhm. I mean, I know that you've had, a couple businesses, right? I mean, in addition to Bloombox, you also had Brewbox, right?
Yeah.
And I know that kind of was discontinued. But what were some of the biggest challenges you've had, in kind of kicking off those businesses? Obviously, Brewbox, for those who don't know, is kind of like a cafe type of vibe, right? And then
Mhm.
also, Bloombox, which is agricultural business. Those are two different type of businesses, obviously. But
Mhm.
what were some of the biggest challenges you found over the time, in Dominica, with kicking off the two different type of businesses, and how did you decide that you were really gonna pursue the agricultural sector?
Struggles with getting these businesses up and running. Um, Trying to think back because it has been like 2 years. Well, I think we had to. The struggle for the cafe for sure was getting the liquor license. Having
Mm,
to run
Mm.
after people to come get it inspected, get it approved, so on and so forth, back and forth. I mean, all these things. I mean, we want to. Every economy is developed by the private sector. It's the engine room for growth in every economy.
correct.
So the longer we and bills come every month. We can't push back bills.
Yeah.
Um, so if we really want to get serious about things, we need to really facilitate the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses, the entrepreneurs, and these things, these delays in getting these certifications, these registrations, really sets things back, especially if you get a loan. Imagine if you get a loan approved. Yeah, they give you 6 months interest free and so on. But I mean, you don't want to delay that. You want to get started. You want to start
Yeah.
building capital so that you can afford these installments. You know what I mean? So that was the biggest difficulty for us, particularly with the cafe, getting the liquor license, having to run after so and so to come and inspect it to make sure that we have this and that. Some of the paperwork as well is pretty outdated. I have to hand in hard copies, have to go in and sign here and there. So those processes can be updated. I think they can be reviewed. Um, what else with the agricultural part? I mean, yeah, I would just say those things for no. If I remember anything as we move on, but that for sure. I think the processes could definitely be enhanced. Yeah.
Okay.
So how you went about sourcing your first set of products, building relationships, that kind of thing. We talk,
Mm,
week one, day one of Bloombox. How
mm.
did how did that go?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was. That's my bread and butter. I mean, that's what I did my previous job. That's what I do. That's my forte. I source, I buy, I sell. I look around the entire world for something that I want at an affordable price, and I bring it down here. Um, the first week of Bloombox, opening Bloombox was pretty. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, guys, you have to be patient, right? Don't
Mm,
go and put the entire how many months and so on and your entire business plan and your entire idea on the back of your first week opening or your second week opening or your third week opening. Me opening my first business, me used to being in a business that's super successful and has people every day in it. To my first week at Bloombox, it was a ghost town, man. I was like, kind of like, oh my god, what did I just do? Um, but you have to be patient and you have to take it easy, and that's one of the things that I had to develop. And as an entrepreneur that's seasoned, I guess, if you will, I understand that there's a process to things, and things take time, and you also have to market things. You have to put money into marketing to making sure your business is
Mm.
known. To this day, Dominica, I mean not Dominica, Bloombox is not necessarily fully known by everybody. People are still finding out about it. Um, and we're 4 years in. So take your time, um, market yourself, market your business. Don't be let down by your first week and you have no customers coming through. I mean, it happened to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, it takes time, it takes effort, and continue working, continue striving, and your hard work will pay off if it's done correctly.
I have a bit of a two-part question for you.
Mhm.
I know we kind of spoke about, we've been talking about Boombox a little bit, and I guess what Boombox is involved in. But before we go any further, can you just give a quick, um, you know, plug on what exactly Bloombox is, where it's
Mhm.
located, and what you guys are actually trying to do? Like, what are you
Yeah.
selling? That type of stuff, and then we'll continue.
Yeah. Well, we're a farm and garden supply center. We sell everything that deals with agriculture, apiculture, which is beekeeping, irrigation fitting supplies. We have safety apparel like boots, um, yeah, steel toe boots, rubber boots, gloves, ropes. We have knapsacks. We have machinery like augers, chainsaws, brush cutters, the whole 9 yards, wood chippers. We also have an array of organic and synthetic fertilizers, the largest range of organic and synthetic fertilizers, the largest selection of substrates, which is like potting mixes that you grow either seedlings in or pots or transplanting. And then we also have a selection of pesticides, fungicides, miticides. We don't do herbicides. It's something that I don't sell and I don't promote. Um, and we also have two services: landscaping service, maintenance. So if somebody has a yard, if let's say for instance Dwayne and Rajiv have their home in Dominica or their property that they need maintained on a monthly basis, we do that. We have a crew that'll go in, swipe, trim, clean, dump debris, and then we have an irrigation design and installation service where they'll design an irrigation plan for either your landscape, your residential landscape, your commercial property, or your farm. So either you have a drip system for your farm and your beds, or you have your greenhouse you want irrigated, or you have your home, your Dominica summer home that you want irrigated and remotely controlled via Wi-Fi. Comes with a rain sensor, so you don't have to worry about overwatering, and so on and so forth. So that's the services that we offer, and that's the business that we're in.
You want to touch a little bit more on the non-promotion of the herbicides?
Yeah, for me, herbicides are poison. All right, and I'm also, our stores are
Are
both air conditioned.
we talking like Gramazone?
Yeah,
Is that what
Zone,
okay,
Roundup.
Roundup?
Some of these things have been banned around the world, but we still sell them here. Um,
Mm.
and I know they've been known to cause cancer and so on. So it's just not something that I promote.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I can't say that some of the biggest commercial agriculture projects and sites around the world and here in the Caribbean, they do use it to reduce their labor fees, I guess. I mean, you don't want to be paying guys around the clock to be weeding the entire time. So they'll
Yep.
go and
Mm.
spray a systemic herbicide and keep like the alleyways and the pathways free of weeds. But there have been issues like in the states where they've gotten reminiscences of Roundup in corn. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that is dangerous. I wouldn't say it's completely safe. And also it being in the retail stores. You know what I mean? Both my retail stores are air conditioned. You're gonna have that substance around. Um, the employees handling it, customers handling it. It's just not something that I want around really. Even if it maybe sells a lot, I still feel that we could be successful without selling it. Um, yeah, that's my
But,
opinion on
but
that.
that's an interesting point because that lends itself to you as a businessman having some type of conviction, right? Whether
Hmm.
right or wrong, people might disagree, right, with what
Morals,
you
Hmm.
just said.
ethics.
But right, but that ties into what's legal and what's ethical, right? In terms of
Hmm.
being a businessman and what you want to put your name and your business behind. So
Hmm.
based on what you just said, we commend you for that. Having some type of morals or ethics or whatever you want to call it, to say, this is not something that I believe in, so I'm not gonna sell it. Even if it means I might make more money, that's
Mm.
something that I don't believe in, and I'm not gonna sell it.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
yeah, man. But to that point, so what do you think sets Bloombox apart from any other agricultural business on the island? And you mentioned earlier that you also, you're not just targeting, Dominica, right? You have bigger plans in terms of what you want to do with Bloombox. So what do you think sets you guys apart?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty up to date in across the business sector in general in Dominica. We're pretty advanced with our systems, our software, our technology. What I mean? We're pretty caught up with that. So a lot of the processes are seamless. Very fast service. We're pretty much, both locations are super intertwined. So if I don't have something in one location, we can get it down for you within the hour. I mean, other businesses in Dominica, let's say, for instance, you go to a location and they don't have it, they probably tell you to come in the next day or a week from now. And time, what I mean? I'm a guy, I'm
Yep.
always conscious about my time. I value time more than I value money. Tell my staff that as well. So I always like the staff to be super urgent when it comes to providing for the customers and so on. It's one of our company values as well, urgency. Besides that, we have a huge selection compared to the others. I mean, I have brands from all over the world, international brands, organic, synthetic. I think we have the widest array of organic products. I mean, we're also super competitively priced. I mean? As I mentioned to you, knapsacks sell elsewhere for like $3.99. We sell it for $56. Major difference. Um, Sealing trays sell for like $9-10 elsewhere. We sell them for like $2 to $4. Um, we have a wider range of substrates, potting mixes, which are super important for farming and agriculture. We have a consistent supply of everything as well. I mean, from time to time, we do run out of stock. Unfortunately, that's something that we have to improve on, definitely. But we do have the widest selection, and we have very good customer service. I have a brilliant team, a fantastic team who are committed, motivated, and enjoy the field of agriculture and have a passion for it. So that's what I think sets us apart.
Well, running out of stock is a good sign. That means business is good.
No, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. So, but I mean, yeah. I mean, you're running out of stock, but you don't want to. I mean, remember, people
Yeah,
are relying on you for their business. You
right,
know,
right.
they're relying on you to have those seeds so they can go and plant for that moon phase. They're relying on you to have that fertilizer so that they can continue fertilizing and doing their fertilizing process. They're relying on you to have those seedling trays so they can continue selling seedlings. And if I run out, I'm doing a disservice to my
Mhm.
customers. I'm doing a disservice to myself, because this is what I went out to go and do. This is my mission. I mean, to be a one-stop shop for everything that grows. But if I'm to be the one-stop shop that always running out of stock, you know that's not going to be a good thing. So it's a major responsibility, and it goes beyond just the sales. It's a responsibility, and that I owe the customers and my clients.
That's a
Mhm.
very good attitude, man. Do
Yeah,
you remember your first customer or your first sale
yeah.
and
I
what
mean,
it was?
for brewbox, I remember who it was distinctly, because I was up there, and before we even opened, the man walk up there, and so. But he's been a guy who's always been following the business, always been giving me big ups. I used to work with him as well. So for Brewbox, it was Donald Bercasio. He works at NDFD now. He's the one that, and Damien Dumas, they're the ones that brought me in to do the Green Summit. So they've been, big supporters. So he was the first customer for the Brewbox. For Bloombox, it was Lauren Challenger's mom, who Lauren Challenger is the country manager of Digicel now. His mom came by with, I think, her sister and nephew and so on, and they blew. They bought a lot. I appreciate them greatly. So they came in and they're like, "What? This is this price. This is that price. Oh man!" And I'm super
Shocking.
thankful for them. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, finally, things that are finally affordable. I mean, I can go and spend money on everything that I need and still keep some after at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So typically, when I was doing it before Bloombox, you'd go and spend. I mean, spending $100 on like 10 trays, or
Yeah.
what is it, 11 trays? What is that nowadays? You spend $100, you're getting over a whole case of trays, $100 and
Mm.
some. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I think, in light of what you're talking about in terms of the kind of theme I'm catching so far
Hmm.
is that, in addition to you being a businessman, you also, you don't want to, in a better way, in a lack of a better way of saying it, push on in people's eyes, right? You don't want
Hmm.
to kind of, press people too much in terms of, price overpricing things just because you can, right? So you
Hmm.
kind of want to make things fair, so
Hmm.
again, maybe it sounds like this is a commending episode, but we commend you for that because it's many things that we talk about, as consumers of goods, right? And you want to feel like you're buying something, but you also don't want to feel like people are robbing you, right? Just because
Hmm.
maybe they're the only game in town.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's a good thing. So
Appreciate
we
it.
kind of want to talk a little bit about running the business in Dominica, right?
Hmm.
And you kind of alluded to it earlier in the conversation. But what I know you mentioned, the lack of, kind of like, we don't have a seamless process in terms of, paperwork and these different things. That's one challenge. What are some of the other challenges, have you come across in terms of running your business in Dominica?
Um,
Anything from funding to banking to just
not quite. I
Because
mean, as a small business owner, right?
Mhm.
If you're using one of the smaller platforms, for your back end, your accounts, and so on. I mean, remember, I used to live in the States, so I had Chase Bank, and they give you really, really, really nice statements. You know exactly what you paid for, who it went to,
mm,
the details, the dates, etc. The statements,
okay.
I think, at maybe the banks here can be more detailed, especially if you're doing like reconciliations of your accounts.
Mhm.
Right.
So as a small business owner, you're trying to spend as little time on task so you can get to running your business and pushing your business
Yep.
forward.
Yep.
And I felt it was really like a puzzle to find out. And I'm the one spending the money. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
really a puzzle of as like, okay, what did I? Because it doesn't give you the clear. It's like, okay, this was a deposit, an online deposit, but it doesn't tell you who it was from.
Mhm.
This was a credit card purchase, but it wasn't to who it was to. So I feel like that could be a lot better. Um, some of the things as well in the states now, which is super big now, is like your credit cards. What are you getting in return for using a bank's credit card? You're getting points, you're
Mm,
getting miles, you're getting this. I feel like maybe the banks here should definitely look to getting those perks, because I mean we're spending a lot of money on credit cards. All businesses are, all people here are. So I think they should really catch up in that regard. I think, yeah, in that regard for sure. I think some of the business cards nowadays, Dwayne, you can maybe let me know. You're a guy that's super, uh, you know, caught up in that stuff, where you get like cash back for using a gas station, miles. You get the whole night. You're literally getting perks for using that credit card, which will help you in your own business. So that is something definitely that's needed,
to
in my
encourage you
opinion.
spend too.
Yeah, encourages you to spend. Exactly.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Although the credit score thing, I'm not too big of a fan on, but definitely, yeah, it encourages you to spend, but you get something in return. What else in Dominica? I mean, you know, what else?
What is what are some of the I don't want to make it all doom and gloom,
Mm,
right? What are some of the
mm,
positives, right? What are some of the benefits? I mean, you said you lived in the States for a while, right? And I don't
yeah,
know if you run any business in the States, but you lived in the States, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what are some of the positives you have seen in terms of running a business in the Caribbean, more specifically Dominica, compared to probably if you were running something in the States?
Yeah. The impact that my business has on my customers and the
Mm,
people that shop at Dominica in Dominica. You know, I have gotten so many compliments, so many big ups, so many thank yous for opening this business, and it just encourages me to continue moving and continue building this business every single day. I mean, people come up to you and say, "Boy, thank you so much for opening this. You're doing a good job." we've needed this for so long. And I mean, when you hear things like that, I mean, it just encourages you. You know what I mean? You feel like you've had a positive impact in Dominica. You've really contributed to Dominica and the farmers and the success of the farmers, and you're enhancing people's lives because you're making their lives a lot easier, and you're giving them access to products that will help them and benefit their businesses. So for me, dealing with that and seeing that and being a first-hand witness to that, to how people have been so grateful, so thankful for the business and what we're doing, that has been the top number one thing that I have appreciated of doing business here in Dominica. And it encourages me and motivates me every day to continue to strive and build this business even bigger than it was the day before.
So one of your things is
Mhm.
automated irrigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. How that's like a game changer, right? How is that?
Mhm.
How you find that kind of change up the landscape in Dominica or the
Yeah.
farming
Yeah. It,
climate?
it I mean, if you go to farms in like Cajon and so on, Mont Prosper, I mean, unlike Antigua and so on, we get rain almost on a daily basis or a weekly
Hmm.
basis. So for them, I mean, rainwater is the best water to use. You'll actually see a difference in growth if you're using tap water or if you're using rainwater. So, by all means, continue to do that. But places like Salisbury and the drier areas, um, you know, it it's a game changer. And you can compare uh, plots that have irrigation and plots that don't, and vast difference. Your growth is a lot faster, your yield is a lot bigger. So it's a complete game changer. It's automated as well. You don't have to worry about irrigating. It's literally on your phone. You can use it to access it. So, and everywhere, every commercial agriculture business around the world, they all use irrigation systems. They all use automated irrigation systems, and they take it a step further and use dosing machines, which is a machine that mixes and mixes your fertilizer, your pH up, your pH down, and all your macro, micro, and your macro, secondary, and micronutrients. So it does everything. You just have to top it up, and you decide how much you want for here and there, what crop you're growing, and it does the entire thing for you. So you don't have to worry about that. Remember, you're trying to limit costs. What I mean, you're not trying
Hmm.
to have a substantial not sorry water fees, labor fees, and so on. You're trying to limit things. You're trying to make it more automated, and
Right.
that's the whole purpose of irrigation, automated irrigation.
You've done this at like about what, 7 schools? How was that?
Yeah. We collaborated with WUSC for 3 schools. And then we gave away irrigation systems for some other schools, and we also did some other donating. So one of the things that you touched on was our mission, but our vision is to sow an interest to grow in every household.
So
And for
Hmm.
me, as a kid, seeing footballers like Drogba or Ronaldo or and Zidane, that's how I developed the passion for football at such a young age. And for me, if I had the opportunity to get into agriculture at a younger age, I mean, I might have done this maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
So I
mm,
feel that providing the opportunity for the younger generation to have a try and try their hand in agriculture, um, it might influence or encourage, two more, three more, 10 more of people like me that are willing to get into it, but just haven't had the opportunity to try it out. And that's the reason behind providing, I mean, not only for obviously educational purposes, but the reason for donating those systems. And I mean, the kids love it. I mean, they go, they're planting, they love to see their plants grow, and it provides another activity for them after school as well. With regards to irrigation, I mean, that's for on the donation side and sponsorship side. I mean, we've done residences across Dominica, we've done farms in the Northeast, we've done farms across Dominica as well. And, we've done 2 or 3 villas at Secret Bay as well. They're in a very dry area, and, they're trying to make their scenery look like they're in a jungle and so on. I mean, it's a nature isle, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so we've done that for them, and they're super satisfied with that. So it's something I strongly encourage for everybody. Even if let's say if you're a landlord, right? And you have a commercial property, right? Or you have apartment building or so on. If you want to rent at a certain price, you have to enhance the value of the property. And
Mm-hmm.
one way of enhancing the value of the
Correct.
property is by ensuring that the landscaping looks pristine, phenomenal. If you see a bunch of dead trees and so on around the area, the place is going to look like a dump. But if you have it looking like a forest, a rainforest, my God, you could literally, I mean, increase the rent or whatever you know what I mean? One of the properties, and he's a customer of ours. I think he was former registrar. I could be mistaken. I think that's what I remember. Mr. Reginald Winston. If you haven't seen his property, you should. He lives in Roseau. It's like an oasis, a garden in the middle of a concrete jungle. He's right next to the $3 store, and it's just a beautiful yard. We did an irrigation system for him as well, and we do landscaping for him on a monthly as well. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely pass by.
Well, I didn't know that you guys offered an irrigation service and the landscaping. I mean, that's something that me and you are going to be talking about after we have this conversation because there's a few people that
Good, good.
I but talk to us a little bit about customer experience. I think in terms of
Mhm.
in Dominica, for those of us who live in the States or live in other countries and we come back to Dominica, that's always a major topic of conversation in terms of, customer service and,
Yeah.
the customer experience. And for those who live in Dominica, I don't know if it's as much of a heavy conversation, but it's definitely something that impacts whether or not we return to businesses in the US. What are your thoughts in terms of the importance of customer service, providing what we sometimes call a plus one customer experience for your patrons and your customers?
And start with how a customer could even purchase a product in the first place. Because me as a consumer, coming from overseas, I think one of my biggest gripes is entering a business where something could cost more than $20 and they say cash only. I can die.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, talking about that, the cash only, I'll touch on the other question. Anthony Edwards, I'm sure you guys know him. I think didn't he do an interview with Dr. Ting?
You,
Well,
coming
No?
soon.
No, you
why
should. You should.
Yeah,
He went to
you
Oxford. He has Shop DM.
why you put nothing out there, never?
No, no.
it was an all man business outside.
No, I don't know. Did you guys do it? Well, anyway, moving
Soon,
on.
man, soon,
Yeah, yeah.
soon.
He's
Soon.
very. You should definitely interview that guy. And he has Shop DM, so he's all about e-commerce and so on. But he created this paying platform called Shop Pay. I
Shop.
believe that's the name.
Yeah.
And that's pretty unique. That's pretty cool where people can pay with their card through that platform.
Mm.
So I mean that's locally made, locally developed. I
Yeah.
mean that's amazing. So definitely, for all entrepreneurs, you want to be able to have every single platform where you can allow the customer to pay. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're striving for, right? So why hinder that process? Make it very accessible. So yeah, that's definitely something that needs to be caught up here in Dominica. I guess with time or with young entrepreneurs, they'll definitely introduce that. With regards to customer service, one of the big things for me is the team that you build. You need to get people who are, it can't be perfect. You can't get everyone that's super passionate about agriculture and so on, but you can get people that
Mm-hmm.
are passionate about their work and about their self development. And from there, you can work with an individual that will take pride in their work and take pride in their self. And from there, that's where I think customer service starts. And for me, I like to work with people who are willing to work with me and who are willing to grow themselves with the business. The tagline is "Let's bloom together." Let's literally bloom together. You work with me, I work with you. We'll both bloom. We'll both grow. So that is something that has been very important for me, and it's all about the people that you bring to the business if they're willing to understand and digest the training that is provided to them, the product knowledge that's provided to them, and you go from there. Really, you know what I mean. Unfortunately, in Dominica, we might not have the biggest population, and you have companies that are way bigger than me, so they need to fill those spots. But at the end of the day, it's something that's an issue across the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's not only Dominica, but it's improving. I can tell you it's improving. You know, I mean, I've been to two other Caribbean countries, and I've also been to a couple places here, and I've had positive experiences. You know, what I mean, it's not all, as Dwayne says, it's not all doom and gloom, but it definitely, there's some places that need to improve. But I can definitely see that there are some young people coming up that are willing to learn. You know what I mean?
Anything in the pipeline you want to share with us that coming soon? Anything you want to break here and talk the thing first?
Yeah, man. Breaking
No,
news, man.
no, nothing yet, nothing yet. But I'm eager. I'm eager to grow. I'm eager to expand. But like all entrepreneurs, like all business owners, sometimes you have to just take your time because if you expand too quickly, then that could be a problem as well. But I'm eager. I'm willing to grow. Uh, so nothing new, nothing in the pipeline so far.
I know recently, over the last couple of years, you've had some awards. So first of all, we want to say from the Talk the Thing family, congratulations on your achievements, right? And so it
Big up,
always
big
feels
up.
good to be recognized, right, for your hard work, especially when something is your brainchild, right?
Mhm.
How does it feel? How did that feel? How does it feel to be recognized, for something that you came up with? And what do those recognitions, I would say, mean to you on a personal and professional level?
Yeah, I appreciate it greatly. I've told the people that have awarded me, I greatly appreciate that. I mean, words of encouragement. Whether you're an employee, an employer, a son, a dad, a mom, a daughter, a teammate, etc. They go a long way. You know what I mean? And it's good to give your props to people and to let people know that they're doing a good job. And everybody might not be showing that they're, what they're really feeling. They might put on a facade. So it's always good to communicate positivity amongst your team members. It's always good to communicate positivity amongst colleagues, teammates, parents, daughters, family members, etc. So I appreciate that, and I'm all about that, spreading positivity as well. And I did appreciate them recognizing me. Everyone who did. I mean, we work round the clock. I have a team here who's super dedicated as well. I mean, they deserve all the credit I do as well, uh, as I do, I should say. And we're putting a serious effort into this. I mean, some people might say, oh, you came up with a good idea and it's just working out for you. No, I mean, there's a lot of hard work that has gone into this,
Mm.
blood, sweat, tears, hours and hours and hours. And to be recognized for that means a lot to me.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah,
That's really good. I mean, we're kind of wrapping up. Coming to the end. We normally go for about an hour, and I think we could keep talking for another
for
2 or 3
sure.
hours.
For
But
sure.
we might have to do a follow up episode there and see how Bloombox is going in the next 5 years. But
Mm.
with that said, the last question I have is, where do you see Bloombox in the next 5 years? Again, I'll go back to earlier. You mentioned that you don't only have a plan to expand in Dominica. You have plans, bigger plans. So where do you see Bloombox in the next 5 years? And then also just to kind of let everybody know where your businesses are, where your locations are, how could they find your locations, and how could they, patronize your business?
Yeah. Yeah. Bloombox, I definitely see it being in another country or two. Um, knock on wood. So I don't see it only in Dominica. Those countries I don't know yet. I can't tell you, but we're striving for it. Um, where they're located right now, we have a branch in Upper Goodwill, which is above the Valley Link Road. Um, we have a branch in Roseau, which is adjacent to or next to the Whitchurch Wholesale Outlet, same block as Western Union. So you'll see there we have a nice sign there, although we need to get a bigger sign. But yeah, those are our two locations. And if there are any more locations opening up, I will definitely let everybody know. But I definitely see Bloombox growing beyond this point. you know what I mean? I think this is just the beginning. This is just chapter 2, and I believe we have a lot more chapters to go.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think, again, maybe this might be a commending show, and we just commending people, but I really like positive vibes, man. I really like to
Mm.
see people coming through with ideas and bringing things to fruition. That a lot of times, we kind of sit and brainstorm a bunch of stuff, and nothing really happens, right? So, shout out to you. I think it's a testament to the encouragement that your family has given you over the years, and the backing that your family has given you in terms of you being a business owner, and then you having the wherewithal to to push through with that, as a young adult. Um, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. I don't know if Rajiv has anything else to add.
Good job. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making a positive impact in the community. And we wish you all the best with the business.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. If I just have to say one thing, well, thank you guys for having me on the show, and thank you for uh, the listeners that joined in and tuned in. I appreciate you guys tuning into my show. Um, what I would like to say to any young entrepreneur that's watching, follow through with your plan, do your research, make sure it makes sense, not just because you feel it'll do well. You got to make sure that it actually makes sense. Be patient. Don't get discouraged. Try to silence the noise. Follow through with your plan. Don't panic. Sometimes it might be good times. Sometimes it might be bad times. As they say, in victory, be grateful, and in defeat, be graceful. Um,
Mm.
and I thank you guys for all your positive words. As I said, positivity goes a long way, and I appreciate you guys even considering me to come on this show. I do appreciate that, and hopefully we can do another one sometime soon.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, once we're not talking about Chelsea, you'll be all right.
Yeah,
You-
yeah. I need to. I think Rajiv. I think it's time for me to pay a little bit more attention to football these days. I've
Oh,
been out of it for some time, but
okay.
I definitely would like to pay more attention to that for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We
Yeah,
understand, man. We understand. But with
yeah.
that said, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Another episode of Talk the Ting. We'll be back next week. Emad kind of let the cat out the bag there a little bit, and
Oh,
maybe
really?
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know. That's insane. Well, you see that's the universe working. That means that
Yes,
you guys are gonna have a really, really good show next week.
yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. So we want to thank you for coming on, and everybody. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care. Stay safe.